You don't need a year to change your life. Sometimes, all it takes is 7 days of doing the right things on purpose. See, most people wait for motivation, but motivation doesn't change you. Habits do. Your future isn't waiting in the next decade, it's hiding in what you do this week. Because success doesn't show up overnight. It shows up one small discipline at a time. I used to wonder why some people seemed lucky, until I learned that luck is just consistency in disguise. If you can master a few habits for 1 week, your thinking changes, your energy shifts, your confidence grows, and suddenly, the life you wanted doesn't feel far anymore. These aren't theories, my friend. These are 5 simple habits that turn my confusion into clarity, my excuses into progress, and my ordinary week into the start of an extraordinary life. Because life doesn't change by chance, it changes by choice. You know, most people treat money like a ticket, something to be traded for moments, for entertainment, for comfort. But money isn't a ticket, it's a seed. A seed that, if planted with care and intention, has the power to grow into a tree that bears fruit season after season. The tragedy is that most people never plant it, they eat it. They hold it in their hand, spend it fast, and wonder why nothing ever grows. You see, money is not meant to be spent just to fill a moment. It's meant to be directed toward a purpose that multiplies. When I first learned this, I was earning very little, a few dollars here and there. And I used to think, when I make more, then I'll start saving and investing. But that day never came because it doesn't come by accident. One day, a mentor told me, "You don't need more money. You need a better philosophy about money." And he was right. He said, treat every dollar as a seed, not a souvenir of your labor. That single idea changed everything for me. Suddenly, I began seeing every dollar as a tiny opportunity to grow. I stopped spending without purpose and started planting. Some seeds went into savings, others into learning, and a few into small business ventures. And slowly, my garden started to grow. Here's the key: not every seed will sprout immediately, and not every investment will pay off right away. But that's not a reason to stop planting. That's a reason to plant more intelligently. Before spending, I started asking one powerful question. Will this dollar return with friends? If the answer was no, I let it stay in the soil, or I moved it to more fertile ground. Some dollars became books that taught me something new. Others went into helping someone who later became a partner in business. A few were invested in ventures that failed, but even those failures produced knowledge, and knowledge became capital. It's never about the size of your seed. It's about your consistency in planting it. You may start with just a few dollars, but with time, those dollars develop roots. And once roots take hold, growth becomes inevitable. So don't waste your seeds on short-term pleasure. Plant them with patience and purpose, and they'll bear fruit that can feed generations. That's the real secret. Money grows only when it's treated like a seed, not when it's spent like a souvenir. Money is a living thing. It moves, it breathes, it circulates. It's never still. It flows from one person to another, from one business to another, from one opportunity to another. The key to wealth isn't just earning money, it's understanding how and why it moves. Because once you understand the rhythm of money, how it flows, where it gathers, and why it leaves certain hands, you can position yourself where it's headed, not where it's been. When I first started studying success, I used to think rich people simply had money. But later, I discovered they understood money. They knew its patterns, its psychology, its nature. They treated money the way a sailor treats the wind, not something to control, but something to harness. You can't force the wind to blow your way, but if you raise your sail properly, you can go wherever it's blowing. Money works the same way. It's not about chasing it, it's about aligning with its flow. I remember when I was broke and frustrated, watching others succeed while I struggled. One day, my mentor said, "You're trying to earn money without understanding it." He told me to study it, not just the dollars, but the systems behind them. So I started learning how money moves through taxes, through business, through investments, through people's habits. And the more I learned, the more I realized money rewards awareness. It punishes ignorance. If you study how businesses grow, you'll see that money flows toward value, toward systems that solve problems and create impact. If you study the stock market, you'll notice it flows toward innovation and confidence. If you study real estate, you'll see it moves toward scarcity and demand. And if you study human behavior, you'll understand that most money moves emotionally before it moves logically. That's why people buy trends, not value. And that's where opportunity lies for the wise observer. So make it your mission to study one financial system each month. Learn how real estate generates cash flow, how taxes can be minimized through planning, how markets rise and fall, and how business models scale. Because every new piece of understanding becomes another sail you can raise in the wind of opportunity. You don't have to be a genius to become wealthy. You just have to become aware. Money is always moving, and when you learn its flow, you'll no longer chase it. You'll attract it by standing right where it's going next. One of the greatest disciplines a person can ever master is the art of beginning the day before it begins. You see, most people wake up and let the world tell them what kind of day they're going to have. They react to alarms, to messages, to problems, to the noise of life. But the successful ones, they design their day before the sun even rises. They don't wait to see what will happen. They decide what will happen. They live by intention, not by impulse. I learned this lesson the hard way. There was a time when I used to wake up late, rush through my morning, and spend my entire day putting out fires. I was always busy, but rarely productive. My mentor once said to me, "Don't start your day until it's finished." That sounded strange to me. How could you finish a day before it even begins? But what he meant was powerful. Finish it on paper. Plan it. Decide where your energy will go before life decides for you. Because if you don't run the day will run you. The early hours hold something special, a kind of quiet magic that belongs only to those who are awake before the world starts moving. That's when the mind is clear, the distractions are few, and the opportunity to prepare is greatest. Take that time to reflect, to think, to plan. Ask yourself, what are the 3 most important things I must accomplish tomorrow? Not 10 things, not 50, just 3. Write them down. Clarity is power, and a focused mind wins battles before they even begin. Then prepare your environment. Lay out what you'll need for the next day, your notes, your schedule, even your clothes. These small acts of preparation build momentum. They tell your subconscious mind, I am ready. By the time morning arrives, your day is already set in motion. You'll wake not with confusion or panic, but with purpose and calm determination. The truth is, success is rarely born in the noise of the day. It's shaped in the silence of the night before. Those few minutes of planning separate the busy from the productive, the dreamers from the doers. So don't wait for tomorrow to decide who you'll be. Decide tonight. Finish your day before it begins, and you'll discover that life starts to follow your design, not your distractions. The day belongs to those who prepare for it. One of the greatest forms of respect you can ever show is to yourself, and that respect is measured by how well you keep your own promises. You see, discipline doesn't begin with motivation or even goals. It begins with self-trust. And self-trust is built when you do what you said you would do, long after the mood in which you said it has faded. Every time you keep your own word, you strengthen the foundation upon which your success stands. But every time you break it, you weaken your confidence. And your confidence is the engine that drives achievement. I remember when I first started setting goals, I was full of enthusiasm. I'd write down a dozen things I wanted to do: wake up early, read more, save money, exercise. And then, one by one, I'd break those promises. Not because I didn't want success, but because I hadn't learned the importance of keeping my own word. My mentor once told me, if you wouldn't trust someone who lies to you, why should you trust yourself when you do the same? That hit me hard. From that moment, I realized that self-discipline was not about control, it was about integrity. So I started small. If I said I'd wake up at 6, I did. Not for the sake of the clock, but for the sake of the promise. If I said I'd save $10, I did. Not because $10 would change my life, but because the act of keeping my word would. Each small victory built something inside me that money couldn't buy: confidence. And confidence, once earned, becomes a quiet kind of power. When you keep promises to yourself, you stop negotiating with weakness. You stop saying, just this once, or it doesn't matter, because it does matter. Every small commitment is a thread in the fabric of your character. When you keep enough of them, you weave strength, integrity, and belief. And belief is the soil in which all success grows. So the next time you tell yourself you'll do something, no matter how small, do it. Not because anyone's watching, not because it's impressive, but because your word should mean something to you. That's where true discipline begins, in the quiet, unseen moments when you simply keep your word. Because the person who can trust himself can achieve anything. Your mind is the garden in which your future grows. And the quality of that garden depends entirely on what you allow through its gate. You cannot plant seeds of success and expect a harvest if you keep watering them with negativity, doubt, and fear. The truth is, most people spend more time protecting their phones with passwords than protecting their minds with principles. But your mind is your most valuable asset. It's the control center of every decision, every attitude, and every result you'll ever produce. What goes in must come out, because the mind doesn't forget, it multiplies. If you fill it with complaints, fears, and gossip, don't be surprised when your results start to mirror that. You can't listen to negativity all day and expect your spirit to stay positive. Years ago, I learned that the difference between winners and wanderers isn't intelligence or luck, it's mental diet. The successful are intentional about what they feed their minds. I remember a season in my life when I used to start every morning with the news. 10 minutes in, I felt drained before the day even began. So, I made a simple rule: no negative input before noon. I replaced that time with a few pages of something uplifting, a book, a quote, a journal entry. Within a week, I noticed a difference in how I spoke, how I thought, and how I worked. The world will always have noise. People will always have opinions. But you must decide what earns your attention. I call it guarding the gate, being the sentry of your own consciousness. Be careful of who and what you let inside. Not everyone deserves access. Some people feed your fire, others pour water on it. Spend more time with those who lift your thinking, who remind you of your potential, who speak in terms of possibilities instead of problems. Practically, that means setting boundaries. Limit your news to 15 minutes a day. Unfollow voices that make you anxious or envious. Choose conversations that build rather than break. And most importantly, feed your mind daily with something that makes you grow, a new idea, a piece of wisdom, a story of resilience. Because the truth is simple. Your results are a reflection of your mental environment. You can't expect your life to bloom if you keep letting weeds grow in your mind. Guard the gate, your future depends on it. Whatever you want to improve, you must first start to measure. It's one of life's simplest, but most profound truths: what gets measured improves. The act of tracking creates awareness, and awareness changes behavior. Most people drift through life unaware of where their time goes, or how their money leaks, or how their habits accumulate. And because they don't track, they can't correct. They make vague promises: I'll save more, I'll read more, I'll get healthier. But there's no measurement, no accountability, no growth. See, if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. I learned this lesson the hard way early in my life. I used to think success was about effort alone, that as long as I worked hard, things would take care of themselves. But I soon realized effort without direction is like running in circles. One mentor once told me, don't just work hard, work counted. And that meant I had to start tracking. I began keeping a small notebook in my pocket, writing down every dollar I spent, every hour I worked, every book I read. At first, it felt tedious. But within a few weeks, I noticed something remarkable. My awareness grew. I saw patterns I'd never seen before: unnecessary expenses, wasted hours, neglected habits. That little notebook became a mirror, showing me how I was actually living, not how I imagined I was living. The moment you start tracking, you start improving, not because you have to, but because you want to. When you see progress, motivation multiplies. If you track your savings and watch the numbers climb, you'll want to save more. If you log your reading time and see consistency, you'll want to learn more. The numbers become your silent coach. They tell the truth without judgment. Start simple. You don't need fancy software or elaborate systems. A small notebook, a spreadsheet, or an app will do. Track your finances, every expense, every bit of income. Track your health, what you eat, how much you move. Track your habits, what time you wake up, what you consume, how you spend your hours. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. Because awareness creates intention, and intention leads to transformation. So whatever you want to grow, your wealth, your fitness, your focus, start measuring it. Don't leave it to chance. Because when you start tracking your life starts tracking toward your goals. If you want to change your life, don't start with a decade or even a year. Start with 24 hours. Because what you do in one day, repeated over time, becomes your destiny. Every day is a seed of your future. Waste a day, and you lose momentum. Use it well, and you change your direction. Most people underestimate the power of a single day. They think transformation requires some grand breakthrough. But in truth, it only takes one disciplined day, repeated consistently. A life is nothing more than a collection of days well lived or days wasted. I learned this lesson when I was struggling to make progress early in my career. I'd set big goals, grand visions of wealth, health, and personal growth, but I often got overwhelmed. I wanted change overnight, but real growth doesn't happen that way. One day I realized I didn't have to conquer the month. I just had to win the day. If I could manage 24 hours with purpose and discipline, the rest would take care of itself. That shift in perspective changed everything. To master your day, start by dividing it into 4 intentional segments. The morning belongs to the mind. It's when your energy and clarity are highest. Guard it carefully. Feed your mind with reading, reflection, and gratitude before the world starts making demands. The afternoon belongs to money. It's the time to work, produce, and create value. Don't just stay busy, stay effective. Use those hours to build your career, your business, or your craft. Then comes the evening, the time for your body and your health. Move, nourish, recharge. Remember, you can't build wealth in a body that's breaking down. And finally, the night belongs to reflection. Before you sleep, take 10 quiet minutes and review the day. Ask yourself, what did I do well? Where did I waste time? What can I improve tomorrow? That reflection turns experience into wisdom. When you start living intentionally within each 24-hour window, you'll notice something powerful. Your days stop blurring together. You gain rhythm, control, and clarity. And that daily discipline compounds faster than you imagine. Every good day builds on the last. Every mistake becomes a lesson. And before long, your entire life starts shifting upward. Because the truth is simple, if you can master one day, you can master your life. One of the greatest tests of discipline is not how you behave when you have little, but how you behave when you start having more. Most people lose the race, not because they never earned enough, but because every time their income went up, their lifestyle chased right behind it, sometimes even faster. They got the raise, but also the bigger car, the nicer apartment, the fancier watch. And so, the appearance outgrew the substance. They looked successful, but remained broke. If you want to build real wealth, you must learn to let your lifestyle lag behind your income. I learned this lesson the hard way. When I first began earning more, I felt the urge to reward myself. After all, I'd worked hard, didn't I deserve it? But every new comfort became a new cost. And soon, I realized I was spending my future to decorate my present. So, I made a shift. Instead of letting my income determine my lifestyle, I decided to let my discipline determine it. I locked my expenses, even when my earnings multiplied. I made it a rule that every raise, every bonus, every unexpected profit, at least half of it, went straight into investments, not indulgences. Here's why this matters. When your expenses rise with your income, you trap yourself in what I call the golden cage. You may look rich, but you're still one paycheck away from panic. But when you let your lifestyle lag, something magical happens. The gap between what you earn and what you spend widens. That gap is your freedom fund. That's where investments are born, where compounding starts to work for you, and where real financial independence begins to take root. Practically, it's simple, not easy, but simple. Every time your income grows, freeze your lifestyle for a few years. Keep the same car, the same apartment, the same habits. Use the difference to buy assets, stocks, property, or a business. Every dollar you don't spend today becomes a silent partner working for you tomorrow. It's delayed gratification, yes, but it's also accelerated independence. Because here's the truth, wealth is not built by how much you earn, it's built by how much you keep and grow. So, the next time life rewards you with a raise, don't let it seduce you into spending more. Let your lifestyle lag, and let your assets lead. One day, they'll pay for the lifestyle you once dreamed of without ever touching your freedom. So as you walk out of here today, remember, wealth isn't something you chase, it's something you design. It's built through quiet habits, daily disciplines, and decisions made long before the spotlight ever finds you. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Begin with what you have, where you are. Plant small seeds, track your progress, and protect your mindset like treasure. Let your actions speak louder than your desires. And if you stay consistent, not for a day, but for a decade, you'll wake up one morning surrounded by the freedom you once only dreamed of. Start today.